everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Being Ewethful podcast. I am Kim Beegler. I'm the owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and I'm sitting at home today in Harrisburg, Oregon, and the mill is just up the road in Halsey, Oregon. So I'm going to do this a little different because we're going to start this here at home, and then I'm going to end the last segment at the mill. The wind's starting to pick up, and my giveaway is at the mill. So I want you to actually be able to see what I'm talking about with giveaway. So welcome back. If you're new, thank you so much. I hope I don't have smoothie in my teeth. Anyway, if you're new, thank you for joining me. It's been 2 weeks already. Can you believe it? And before I forget, episode 20, giveaway winner, Michelle. I'm not going to say your last name. Tessier, we're going for it. I went ahead and said it anyway. Anyway, I messaged you on the YouTube comments, but I haven't heard from you, so you're the winner of a skein of yarn. So feel free to message me. Actually, it was a skein, or it was that fiber in fiber form in roving. So message me please via email or Instagram and let me know your shipping address. And if you are a spinner, I'll send you the fiber. If you're a knitter, crocheter, weaver, I'll send you the yarn. So, it's been kind of chill. We got back from Seattle and we've just kind of been chugging along. Velma had her surgery to try to figure out why underneath her eye was gooping, and it was indeed a tooth. Poor thing. This has been going on for a long time. So they took the bad tooth out, and it took maybe 4 or 5 days, and she actually stopped draining. So apparently there's cavities, basically, that can travel between the tooth root, and this is a big molar, the root and eye ducts here. And so infection causes it to back up, and hers, it just constantly drained. It backed up once to where, and then it just drained. And in x-rays and stuff over the year and a half, it wasn't seen. But the second that we went to the dental specialist, she came out and said the tooth is completely broken. Anyway, Velma's doing much better. She may have to go back in because she still has a cherry eye, which is like their lower inner lid sticks out a little bit. But we're giving her and our financial situation a little bit of a break. Although I will say it was cheaper than we thought for her dental, so that was exciting. Off has been canceled, which is Oregon Flock and Fiber. Is supposed to be in Albany next month, and it got canceled, which I kind of saw coming, and I totally get it. But it is a bummer that sorry, my bangs distracted me. It's a bummer. So instead of off, I'm going to have the mill shop open that day, which I could not tell you off the top of my head, but I will put it here, and I'll put it in the show notes when the October dates will be open. And we'll be open this month, tomorrow actually. So the day that this podcast airs, we'll be open 10 to 3. So I'll probably do 10 to 3 both days, the off day too. I might stretch the off day a little bit longer. We'll see. I have some, we'll see. Easy for me to say when it's a month out. So other than that, there's Cash saying hi. So we got rain, which is exciting. I guess last weekend we got rain, and a good amount of rain, like well over an inch of rain, I believe, over the weekend, which was amazing. It was so nice to hear. It was so nice to smell. It was so nice to see. I actually was inspired enough to write a blog post, which I haven't done in ages. And so beingewethful.com is where you can find that. There's always a link in the show notes to the blog page. Yeah. My dog's rolling around making all sorts of noises on his back. So, and it was great. And now that's exactly what we needed for the animals here, for the pastures and everything. And it's also most definitely what we needed for the grass seed farm. So I think I'm going to have a farm update. It depends how much time I have in my day today. Mitch is actually planting, so there's a farm update. But I'm going to go try, if I have time, I'm going to go try to get video of him planting. And if not, then I will have it in the next full episode. So we need rain though for grass to grow. I mean, you need rain for most things to grow. So we tend not to plant until there has been some rain and or there is some rain coming at least, and we're right in between. So it's perfect. And right now it's supposed to be like 80 today. So this is prime because, and I will get more details on this, you do want the grass to grow to a certain point before winter. We'll talk about that later. I'm getting too excited. Vlog. What else was I going to talk about? Velma had surgery. Mitch is working. Yeah, the farm update. Let's do some farm stuff. See some animals. It's pretty chill on the farm too. The sheep are doing. The alpaca are doing. The horse is doing. June got her feet trimmed yesterday. That was, she always hates it, but it's, you know, has to be done every 7 weeks. Our farrier comes and does her feet, so that's exciting. She's all fresh today. And Mitch moved the chickens, or he moved Mama Chicken and the baby chicks, the mail order chicks. They all moved 2 nights ago into the big coop. And Mitch did some redecorating for them for their arrival. And we have a lot of chickens now. So he wanted to make sure everybody had a place to perch and that they weren't getting bitchy with each other, basically, which we have a few birds that like to, especially at night when they're all trying to get settled in, they like to boss each other around. So you guys will see them on their first day out, because I filmed yesterday. I did the farm tour while it was their first day. And other than that, we're just kind of chilling. Doing the do. Feeding the animals, cleaning the animals. So without further ado, let's go say hi to everybody, and I will be back in just a minute. And I'm going to wipe my eyes because my allergies are really bad. And as soon as I put my contacts in, it's like a waterworks for the first 5 minutes. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Enjoy the animals. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's morning here. I don't know what it'll be when you watch. I thought I'd show you my dahlias in the background that are so happy that it has been some rainy and cool. So we're gonna walk down. This is the first time my mama and her babies spent their first night. I'm gonna flip you guys here and we'll start walking. So my mama, and you can hear the sheep, are ready for their food. Mama and there are chickens everywhere. Babies spent their first night in the barn with the other hens. So I got up early at dawn and went and opened up the coop so that in case anybody was being too turdy, Mama could get the babies out or do whatever she needed to do, basically, so they all weren't confined. All the chickens weren't confined in a small space with a whole new batch of chicks. So we're gonna wander down, and they were good this morning. Mitch moved them last night while everybody was asleep in a little box, and he just put the box in the coop and said, have at it. So they were all still in the box this morning with Mama. Chickens everywhere and very hungry sheep. And I have my tripod because I'm going to attempt to get the sheep in full we're starving mode. But so you can see, there's grass. They are not starving. And everything's still got a little damp to it. I don't see Mama and chickens yet, but we're going to feed the sheep so that they settle down. Well, they were supposed to be well behaved, but they busted through their gate. So you can see them some kibble. Usually I have the gate closed so I can get everywhere here. I'm not sure how much you can see, but probably enough. Get the idea that they are starving, obviously. And my babies especially have no manners about this. So, that's the morning with the sheepies. For some reason, they all end up around the same one. keep eating. This is just a little kibble. Hopefully you saw some of that. Sorry, that wasn't the best angle. And here's my two boy twins that love, ideally they would get fed out of my hand every day, but I can't always do that, oddly enough. So there's everybody, and then they're much calmer after they get their kibble. So weirdos. All right, we're gonna go on. Miss June is over there. Junebug, you ready? She's waiting. So we're gonna go feed them. Hopefully you guys saw some of that. And Moira's over there. She never eats the kibble. And sometimes they bully each other around about the kibble. Or hump each other. That's a girl. That's Alexis. Shocking. Alright guys, let's carry on without dropping you. There's June telling me it's time. As always, here's Cuddlebug to say hi as we come in because he wants his kibble first. And June knows I'm going to try to do this with you guys in tow, which is going to, here we go. And the alpaca, always waiting to be the last to eat. It's hard to be an alpaca at Ewethful, isn't it, guys? It's hard, isn't it, Alma? And June has her mask off because it's been a little bit cooler and a little bit less. Hi, baby girl. She's like, give me that dang food. So, here we go, Junebug. And she's getting her feet done today. So I'm going to let her out after she eats. Are you ready? And these guys have a system. And we've also got to get Mr. Cuddlebug pinned in, leashed in, otherwise he will be following us, as I think you guys have seen. So, okay, let's go. Alma always has to be on the left. She doesn't care where anybody else is because she gets the first dibs at food. Huh, Alma? And then we just walk along and try not to get kicked because they get really excited. Sometimes they jump in the air. And Khaleesi is generally the last one to get the kibble. You can see Alma moved. That's her MO too. And then the chickens are down here. Apparently they know which one drops the most, but they come along and eat. And we haven't seen Mama and her babies yet, so we're gonna go while everybody's finishing up. We're gonna go see if we can find, and you can see the sheep are heading back out. And Cuddlebug's waiting, oh so sad, because he's tied in. Oh, it's so hard to be Cuddlebug. I know, I'm gonna give you a little more. I saved you a little. The sheep are finishing up. And we will go see if we can find Mama and babies. Halsey's always helping. Have a feeling they're still in the barn, which makes sense. Which makes sense. She probably wants to get them used to the barn. Maybe. I don't hear her though. So maybe she is outside with them. Nope, there she is. I hear her. Sorry, guys. And Mitch built this cool new. Let's see if everybody's outside the box. Yes, they're outside the box. There they are. She's like, we're staying in here, guys. And there's 8 babies, so that's what we like to see. We're gonna just leave the box in for today. You can see Mitch built a whole new series of, we're gonna try not to freak her out too much, so that there's lots of perches, and then he put perches on the sides. So there is everybody. Can you believe how big they are? So she may not be ready to take them out. They're actually well beyond wind. I think they're about 7 weeks now. And so they could definitely be out wandering, but Mama's gonna keep them by her side, keep them safe, and they'll follow her around for a long time. Several weeks. They'll stay close. And I'll always be able to hear, because you can hear them chirping and her clucking. So we'll get out of here and leave them be. But success on the first day. Mom will take care of it from here. Okay. I think that's the farm tour for today, guys. I'm going to go and get June brushed out and carry on with the day. How cute is that? Oh my goodness. We might have to get a picture of that, huh? I just had to come back. The farrier just left from doing June. And look who's bringing the babies out a little bit. Just a bit. She lets them come out here. And then she runs in and they all chase around after her. Pretty cute. Big world out there. Okay, hope you enjoyed the farm tour. There comes Elsie Mae to check in. The small dogs won't even get up. This morning I get up really early now, like at dawn, to open up the chicken coop to make sure that if Mama and her chicks need to escape, or just to make sure there's not all these chickens confined when we have new ones in there. And so the dog's feeding is a little off, and basically they get fed earlier, and then my small dogs are like, goodbye, we don't need you anymore. We'll be in bed. So they're not even joining us today. Anyway, I did forget one thing that has happened on the farm, and that was I lost a chicken. We call it just natural causes. She was just dead in the sheep coop the other morning. I let them out. She was alive. We didn't see her the night before there. And Mitch counts the chickens every night, which is like a huge task because there's a lot. And then he tries to track them down because you want them in so that predators don't get them overnight. Raccoons, bastards, love some good chickens. So anyway, she wasn't. Anyway, the next morning I let them out, and by the time I came down like an hour later to feed everybody, she was just dead. So that just happens sometimes on the farm, especially when you have as many chickens as we do, when you have as many animals as we do. And chickens are not, she didn't give me any signs. So sometimes they can be egg bound, which means like an egg literally gets stuck in them. I mean, there are different reasons. There's just natural causes too. There's like sudden chicken death where they just... Anyway, the weird thing about it is I do not do well. So I used to work in the vet industry long ago. It's kind of how I got into working with animals. And I have sat through so many euthanasias of my own, unfortunately, but it happens, and so many with customers and clients between the dog hotel and working at the vet, and that's fine with me. I can sit and be with an animal as it's dying. But when I come across an animal just dead, it's like a whole different ballgame for me, and especially if there's rigor mortis. So this was a big moment for me, circling back to the chicken, not just being dark. But I decided my sheep were all fired up and they were trying to eat, and she was laying there and I didn't want her to get stepped on. So I was like, girl, just pony up. So I scooped her up. and I was super proud of myself, just because it's just not my thing. It's something about when the life and the warmth is completely gone, it sends me into like a, but I did it, and I was super proud of myself. And Mitch was like, what? I called him, I was like, I have a chicken. And he's like, you're holding it? I said, I know. I mean, the other nice thing is I could also look her over to see, is there anything obvious, like an animal got her, anything. There was nothing. So anyway, there's my growth moment on the farm, and probably more than you needed to know. All right, so let's talk about briefly, because I haven't been doing it. No, I actually have been. I've been working, guys. I've been working. But knitting, hand spinning, weaving. I haven't put anything new on a loom. Hopefully that will happen soon. I have thoughts. I have to I process before I just throw something on, which is weird, I guess. But hand spinning is what I've been doing a lot of. So let's see it. So one thing, Robin is going to get this. I think she's coming by the mill shop tomorrow, and this is the giveaway that she won. And this is the Columbia wool and Angora, and it's got little specks in it. You can see it is so pretty, and I actually have to wash it today for her before she gets it, and so it might be a little damp when she gets it, but it'll be done. And I wanted to show you my epic fail, because you know what, it's fun to hear about fails, right? So see this is the same fiber. I did chain ply it once it was done, and here is why. I completely effed it up. I don't know what the heck happened. I was spinning and spinning, and then all of a sudden I looked at the bobbin, and I was like, so when you have a bobbin, and I should have had a bobbin with me, but your yarn comes over and then you're spinning it. Well, this bobbin, somehow the yarn was coming under, and then I was spinning it. And you would think it's because I was spinning backwards, but I swear I was not spinning backwards. I don't know what happened. The point is, it was not spinning well, and this is one of those moments, just like with knitting, weaving, whenever you're doing something and it doesn't look right or feel right, oh my God, stop. But did I stop? No. I kept going, and I kept fighting with the wheel, which I shouldn't be doing at this point in my spinning. And then I was like, this isn't right. Well, let me just finish it. What the? So I finished it, and I was like, well, this is lame. So I just went ahead and did a chain ply on it. But at least it's a sample, so people can see the fiber, what it's, hopefully it's not going to look like this when they're done with it. Hopefully it will look more like this. So Robin, thank you for your patience, because I ended up spinning 3 bobbins to get what I needed out of 2 bobbins. So there's that. There is more of this fiber hand spinners in the shop. So if you like it, grab it up. And Robin's going to love it. She's lucky I'm letting her take it, because I really do love it. I should spin more for myself, but I'm not great at spinning the same thing twice unless it's really for a project. So, okay, next. And Wendy's not going to see this, I don't think, before she comes. But let me show you this. How fun is that? So this is, and I think I showed you this when I was like I had 1 bobbin spun. So this is Abundant Earth fiber. This isn't fiber that I process. This is Abundant Earth, and they're up in, I think they're on Whidbey Island. But yeah, I don't know. But I'll put their link down in the show notes. So this is fiber that a customer, Wendy, brought for me as a gift. And it is so pretty. And I did 1 bobbin in brown, and then I did 1 bobbin in the dyed up kind of bluey green teal color, and plied it together, and it's so pretty. So here's what's going to happen. Wendy gave this to me. I'm going to give her the skein back, and then she can do with it what she wants. I just had so much fun spinning it that I know she's going to love it. So that's something fun, and it was fun to spin somebody else's fiber. I love spinning and knitting with other mill stuff because it's just fun. Okay, so knitting. I'm still knitting through all my projects, but I'm only going to show you 2. So the first one is that cow. Oh my goodness, Kim. Of course I kind of have it in a weird spot. But, so this is the cowl of the horn Dorset that I was working on before. It's much bigger now, and you can see, and I'm going to post a picture of what it looked like. So this is what a podcast or two ago, I said, I'm ripping it out because I don't like the fabric. This is what I meant by I don't like the fabric. So let me post a picture here where you can see how tight the knit, how much denser the knitting is. I was knitting it on about 1.5 sizes smaller needle. Okay, reality, I was using a cable that had, I think it had one like 10 and one 10.5 because I just did it on accident. So I ripped it out. And actually this is the second skein. The first skein I ripped out, I re-put it into a skein, I washed it again because otherwise it gets kinked from the knitting, right? It's been sitting in this position and you pull it and then it's just, I don't like knitting with that. So that one's ready to go. It's all fresh. And this one, you can see how different. And I'll try to do like a side by side maybe so you could see how much airier that is. And it's got a lot more give to it, so it's gonna fit a lot better. So again, it took me a while to figure out that I didn't like the fabric, and this I really do like. So I'm excited. I'm moving on with this. Also, it's knitting up faster because now I think I was on like 9s. I must have been on like 9 and 9.5, something in there, and now I'm on 11. So also it's fun yarn to knit with. Okay, last update. You would think I'd be farther with this, but here's the thing about knitting 2 socks at a time, and I've probably already mentioned it. You're knitting 2 socks at a time, so when you would like have a sock almost done, you don't, because you're doing 2 at a time. You guys, do you see how amazing this is? First off, nod to that yarn maker. Just kidding. But I do love this yarn, and this is our Prineville yarn. I just did a little batch of it again, so the store is a bit restocked in yarn kits, and I did a couple 200 yard skeins. So if you don't want a sock kit, there is a little bit extra. And as always, if you like a color and you don't see it listed or it says I'm out, just message me and say, hey, any chance you could dye this color up for me? And if I can, I will. So you guys, I'm just going to show it to you. I'm going to try it on. So here's the wonderful thing about having this, whether you're magic looping or doing 2 needles at a time, like I've talked about, you can like try this sucker on anytime, because look at that. See if I can get the full effect for you guys. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I love it. I love the pattern. Okay, I'm not gonna lie yet again, because I'd hate to lie to you guys. Doing for the first time lace socks while trying to teach yourself to, which is not hard again, to do 2 at a time. Maybe not my best idea ever, but it's happening. I've made it work. The only time I run into difficulty is when you have to do like a yarn over and you're at the end, which for half of the lace pattern you do have to do, but I figured it out. I made it work. So I keep thinking, oh, they look so big, and then I put them on and they really aren't. But I'm going to talk about this later or write a blog about it. But if you knit this same sock pattern in, let's just say, a superwash merino sock yarn, superwash merino nylon, whatever it is, superwash is what I'm getting at, it's not going to look like this. Just for the makeup of the yarn, the superwash, what it does to the yarn. So at some point I'm going to talk about knitting with natural wools and what a difference it is, and even like how to make it work for patterns that don't necessarily, basically how I look for patterns with the yarn that I knit with, because it's not the same as knitting with a superwash of anything. So okay, and I'll put the link to the pattern down below. But I'm getting close. I'm just deciding how. I actually don't need to, I could do one more lace repeat, or I could start my heel. I don't like my socks super high, so we'll see. Anyway, that's where we're at. So I think that's all I was going to do at home. I think I'm going to go to the mill because I have to get the shop ready for tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing some cleaning and stuff like that. I'm going to film the very last segment where we're going to talk about mohair. We're going to get real about mohair because I love it. And it's taken me years to realize that I love it, but I love it. And we're also going to do a mill update. What's been going on at the mill and some mill tours. So stay tuned. I'll be back in just, well, a little bit for you guys, just a minute. Okay, you guys, so I was going to do this whole big thing. I've done research and learned a lot myself about mohair. And then it's so long that I thought maybe it should be its own mini-sode where we talk about mohair. So instead, I'm just going to touch on mohair for you all. And then if you want to learn more about mohair, you can watch the mini-sode that I'll have come out here in the next week or two. But I have some locks of mohair here to show you. And these locks are definitely from a local farm here. This is from Sky Hunter Farms, who I buy, at this point in time, I buy all my mohair from. She's not breeding so much anymore, so when she runs out of fiber that I can buy from her, I'll move on to who she sold most of her goats to, her breeding goats anyway, and I'll start buying wool from that person. Hopefully, they'll sell to me. So here is some locks. Here's a gray, here's a white, which is probably what most people are used to seeing if you've seen a picture. And I've got a couple pictures, so I'll throw up what they look like in their full glory. And then I've also got some that I bought forever ago that is dyed up. So I have totally fallen in love with mohair and adding it to, so here's some that is dyed up. It takes dye really nicely. I love adding it to fibers when I'm looking for a good blend. And the reason I have switched, and I've talked about it before, is because mainly I can get it locally. That was how this started. I could get it locally. Whereas if I'm buying silk, I have to buy it from a wholesaler, which is fine. But most silk is probably processed, most of it's processed like in China and then shipped in. So I can buy mohair locally, at least within the US, if things came to it. And so that's how I'm gonna go as much as I can. Now that I've been working with it more, the things that I love about it and the things that make mohair so special are, one, it is elastic. You can see if I pull those, so this has waves instead of crimps. So I pull it, it goes back. It's not as crimpy and squishy and bounce back as wool, but it still has an elasticity to it. Combined with strength, it's got a really strong fiber. So it's not going to break and it's not going to pill as much as some other shorter fibers might. It can also be very fine. So, you know, you can in theory be into the high teens in mohair. It averages, I'd say, in the 20s. So that's, you know, on par with some of your fine wools. And it can also go up into the 30s, which that would be used for different, not going to be used for your next to skin yarns. But the luster, I don't know if you can tell as well with the blue because it's dyed, but you can see the light just hits it and bounces off of it. That's amazing. That adds something to yarn that you can't always get with wool, depending on what braid you're using. And soft, I mean, it adds softness. So that's kind of all the attributes that I love in it. It is very different. It is very different than wool, but adding it can be such a benefit. And it will add, because it doesn't have that same crimp, it's going to add more drape if you blend it in with a wool. So if you're looking at yarns which have, and I'll show you here. So our Prineville yarn has 20% mohair, and you can see that drape. This has 5%. So obviously the skeins are different sizes, but still you can see how much drape it's adding just in the length of the skein, because these were wound up on the same thing. So the more mohair you have, the more drape you're gonna have. So that's something to keep in mind. In general, it's just a wonderful thing to add. And I just wanted to talk briefly about it so that I still hit on it for you guys, But I am going to put out a mini-sode where I'll go much more in depth in it. And if you want to learn more about mohair and get some spinning tips and things like that, then you can watch the little mini-sode I put out. Okay. Onward to what I've been doing in the mill. Fiber Club. So I totally forgot I had done videos on this. Seems like ages ago because I was rushing through trying to get Fiber Club and Yarn Club done at the same time. But here's September's. Let's see if I can get it in the right light. So this is I keep forgetting, Rommeldale Border Leicester Cross. So that was the sheep breed. And I blended it with 50% alpaca. So basically it's heaven on earth. Rommeldale is a fine wool breed that is amazing. Crossed with the Border Leicester, which makes it a little bit easier to process, and then alpaca. So this is a 50-50 blend. It's absolutely stunning. It's next to skin soft. I have some videos on processing it, which I'm gonna show you in a minute. And I think this is the last bowl. There might be one, this is a 4 ounce, there might be one that's 2.8, but it's the very last of it, and it is pretty epic. And the wool was grown here, all of it, the wool and the alpaca was grown here in Oregon, so hurrah to that. And in Fiber Club, they also got what's gonna be your giveaway. I didn't forget. One of the things fell though. Okay, so giveaway. So this is from Abundant Earth, who I already talked about because I spun up some of their fiber. They have these little wool tincture kits. And it basically comes with everything you need as far as it has the 2 little bits of dye, and it also has a citric acid, which you need for dyeing yarn and fiber. So you're gonna get in your giveaway 2 little packets of this, plus some directions, which you should read very well, and you can also find them online, and a stitch marker from Ewethful. So that's the giveaway for this week, and this is super easy to dip your toes into dyeing because you follow the directions, but you basically just need a jar, I think some hot water, probably pretty hot water, and which you can boil. You can boil it, let it cool down a little bit, and this, and your yarn. Like a big jar that will fit your skeiny yarn, the water, dye, you're basically set. So that's gonna be your giveaway for this time. And I'm gonna have you tell me in the comments what it is you like about non-superwash yarn. Assuming that you have knitted both, which I feel like if you've been watching me long enough, you have ventured away from superwash yarn at this point and are knitting with other things. So do you like it better? You don't even have to like it better. Just tell me which one, you know, if you've done it and if you like it, or what you think the differences are, what you would use a superwash for versus a natural wool. You don't have to answer all those things. Just something about, for you, what superwash versus natural, untreated wool yarns are like. So that's easy. And if you haven't knit with non-superwash, if you haven't knit with superwash, then that's okay. Then you can just tell me why you love natural yarns. Most of us have knit with, I think a lot of us start with superwash merinos or whatever because that's what is so easy to get a hold of right now. So just let me know if you've knit with both, which you prefer, anything like that. Just tell me, just comment. I think that's it, you guys. All right. Wish and I are going to go get ready for shop day, which is tomorrow. So we've got to vacuum, dust, and just kind of get everything in order and steam up a little bit of yarn. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. And until next time, take care of your neighbor, be kind, stay healthy, and I'll see you soon. Okay, we're here in the mill working on Fiber Club for some month, September. And so all these different colors here, this is all alpaca. I'm gonna pull that little chunk out. See that? I don't want that in there. It's just a second cut. Okay, I'll pull that when I'm not holding camera. And you can see there's just a little, this right here, that's the wool I'm using. I've got just a little bit left. And we'll walk over and you can see all blended up how it looks coming out of the picker. And there it is, waiting to actually be conditioned. And then speaking of conditioned, let's go over and you can see it. This is all ready to go. Okay, so I wanted to show you, do you see how the fiber is kind of lining up on the side of the bin there? So that is due to static because it's so freaking dry in Oregon. I mean, it's usually dry in the summer, but this is excessive. So, and this is a high alpaca density. It's about 50-50 with wool. So alpaca loves the static even more than wool does. So I'm going to show you with the machine going here. So what I did was I turned on an ionizer bar, which is this little bar here. And what that does, you can see that fiber literally like walked away. It helps cut down on the static so that I can keep processing. So I'm still going to condition this fiber, but I'm also going to have the ionizer on. And I'm going to condition it a little more heavily because just because the ionizer bar is taking the static out here doesn't mean it's taking the static out in the actual machine. Okay, a fun thing. It's time to ply. So I actually already ran the first batch of it. And this is the prime fill yarn. I had just a couple pounds left. And I'm going to check to make sure my math is correct before I cut. And then cut. And these are basically all about 500 yards on each bobbin. And I'll bring one over and you can see. So, which for our kits is, I do 500 yards and it comes with 125 grams of a mini. So 2 of these I'll split up and 2 of them I'll split up into minis, and then the other 2 will just be 500 yard bobbins of yarn, which is about what I was going to fit on there. I think I can fit 600 of this yarn, something to always take into account. And now I'm just pulling down so I can start the next bobbins going. Which this is kind of the easier part than loading it all up because I don't have to start completely from scratch. So I just grab my bobbin, I've got my yarn, and I just wind it on, and then it goes on to the machine. And I'll go through and do that for everyone. And then I'll start it up. And hopefully next year, one of the pieces of equipment that I'm talking about buying, I have all my equipment paid off in just a couple months, which is amazing. Amazing. But I would like to get at least one new piece of equipment next year. And that one piece of equipment would probably be, this is an 8 spindle spinner, and what I would like is a 4 spindle so that I can use it just for plying and not have to flip this, because now I have to flip this machine back and forth between spinning and plying. So if I'm spinning, if I'm plying, I can't be spinning, and vice versa. So it would be really nice to have one of each. And I don't need to be able to ply quite as much most of the time because I'm putting it into multiple plies, right? I'm putting a couple bobbins together. So if I'm spinning 8 on here, you know, I don't need to ply 8 on there. So now these are all ready. I'll flip it for you so you can see. So now we're staring at these, and they're attached to their little travelers, which help put some tension on the yarn as it's being plied. And that's just a guide for it. So there's all these little things. You kind of check the boxes before, and you can see I've got, these are my sensors. So if one of these singles breaks, it'll drop. So it would drop like so, and it sets off a sensor, which then turns the machine off. So I'm not plying, so I can walk away. and not have to worry about plying. So I'm going to start this baby up and we'll carry on with some plying of Prineville.